Broadcasting live from the basement of the Pentagon. This is W.T.F Nation Radio.
Yeah, let me fix this. What up? What's good? What's happening? Welcome to the Sports Bar here at W.T.F Nation Radio. I am the actual King Smith, and we back for the Sports Bar on a Wednesday. It seems like it's been a minute. I know. Hold on. Let me throw my chain on real quick. This is going to be what I wear as I'm beating everybody during the Survivor League that we're going to announce a little bit later on. I got to throw on the Lucky Lion chain. Hope y'all are having a fantastic evening here this Wednesday. I'm happy because August is around my favorite time of the year. Not only is it my birthday month, happy 42nd birthday to me. I know, I'm too handsome to look like I'm 42, but that's besides the point. All right. I'm not the only one that does this show, as tonight I am co-hosted by the man behind the gate, the man behind the fence, somebody who's likely going to be bragging tonight, my main man, Coach. Coach, let the people know something.
It has been 3 months since I have been home for an entire week, where I have slept in my bed for an entire week. The last time I've been on this daggone show has been 3 months too. Actually, it's been 3 months and 1 week. And ever since then, something big happened.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what happened, but on June 13th, 2026, at 11 o'clock in front of Madison Square Garden, 4 words were uttered as the clock was going down. You know what those 4 words were uttered?
Nope.
What
were those 4 words?
Saying, "What do you hear? What do you say? Knicks in 5, baby!" Ooh! King, you know I was up there, and I have not been back on since this has happened. My God Almighty. How you been, my friend?
I've been good. The month of August has been a pretty interesting month for me overall. I'm going to say that I'm good. You know, life's been lifing, but overall, man, I can't complain. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, man. I haven't been on since I stopped over at your house.
Yeah, had a quick little pop-up when you were on the way to go witness a part of that history, which that's pretty dope that you had the opportunity to do that with the company that you had with you, man. I've felt like that's something that people should have the opportunity, if you're a sports fan, to be able to witness. So that's pretty dope, man.
I'll talk about that at the end of the night when we've got nobody listening to us. Let's get to the shit going on in the world of sports, man.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, pour one, pull up a stool. The sports bar is open. Coach and King back together again, live on WTF Nation Radio. And we've got a full tap list tonight. We're going to be talking about a rookie in St. Louis that did something that nobody in the history of Major League Baseball has ever done. For those gamers out there, NBA 2K27 dropped its top 10 ratings, and there's a 3-way brawl at the top of the mountain, and somebody that didn't quite make the top 10 has biffed me just a little bit. Found a clip of NFL quarterback Bryce Young, who had the single most awkward 15 seconds in the Hall of Fame game history, and we're going to play that video. But to start off, we're going to start off on a heavy one, as the football world lost a giant this week, and another legend is showing us what fighting really looks like. Plus, something to be excited for. Football is back. Not the American soccer BS, not that World Cup stuff that we covered. American football. And so is our Survivor League.
Now we got to pretend that we don't like freaking that we don't understand football for soccer for another 3 years. Or now we don't have to pretend that we have interest in soccer for the first time in 3 years and about 10 more months, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
Soccer's going to go to obscurity
MLS
until the
is
next
doing real
World Cup
great
comes
this
back
year,
up.
and nobody gives it.
Yep. But we're going to do something different around fantasy football this year. We're going to do a Survivor League, and I've got the link in the description on all platforms for that. But if you do not see that link, I'm going to paste it into the chat here. Join our Survivor League and register over on ESPN. We're actually going to start with that here and talk about the Survivor League. So this is the Survivor League launch, right? Now, let me share my screen here to show y'all what this looks like. Let me bring up the link here. I'm going to open up the link first. Now I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to do it live.
I can't do it. We'll do it live. Okay. No, we'll do it live. Do it live. I'll write it, and we'll.
We got to get a little bit more volume on the stream deck.
Copy all. Adding more volume, good sir. Now, this right here that you see on the link here is our WTF Nation Radio Survivor League. Everybody only gets one entry, and the way that it works is quite simple. Each week, you are going to predict who is going to win that game that week. Pick correctly, you advance. Pick incorrectly, you're out. It's that simple. All you have to do is join. It is going to be free to join. You don't even need to know anything about football to join and win some free stuff. So join our Survivors League, the WTF Nation Radio 2026 NFL Survivor League. The link is in the description. The link is in the chat. We're going to try to promote this every single time that we can. And you have up until the start of week 1 to be able to join. Again, it's simple. Pick who's going to win that week. Now, once you've chosen a team, you are barred from picking that team for the rest of the season. So you have to be careful about what team that you choose to start with. So join our Survivor League. Link is in the description box and is in the chat. It is going to be free to join, and you can have a chance to win something free. Now, Coach, have you ever done a Survivor League before?
I have not done a Survivor League. No, I have not. So this will be interesting this year. Be nice to see how we're going to be playing this one out for this year. So I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Now, let's get some of the.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a better name than CQ's middle finger this year.
If anybody can come up with something better than CQ's middle finger, it is going to be you. Now, from something cheeky to something a little bit more serious, we have learned of 2 people that have had ALS diagnosis that have played sports. And it's great that it's not great that people are getting it, but I think it's good that the media is picking up on this, and that, it's kind of like cancer. We could get the research and create the thing that can fight this disease that pretty much paralyzes you and change your entire life. But here we go here. I'm just going to play it straight, sincere and human. There's going to be no hot takes on this one. A Ravens legend passed away, died on August the 17th at age 56 after a 19-year battle with ALS. And it was announced by the Ravens. O.J. Brigance, diagnosed in 2007 at the age of 37, when doctors told him that he had 2 to 5 years to live. He he was able to fight for nearly 2 decades. And if you are unsure of how ALS treats you, while it is different with everybody, it is one of those diagnoses that once you get it, that's it. He won a Super Bowl with the Ravens in 2000, and he made the first tackle of that Super Bowl, in which the team defeated the Giants 34-7. He also led the team in special teams tackles that season. Prior to that, he was a champion in Canada, winning the 1995 Grey Cup with the Baltimore Stallions. After retiring in 2002, came back to the Ravens as their player engagement executive, winning the NFL's Best Player Development Program award in 2005 and 2006. Him and his wife, Chandra, founded the Brigance Brigade Foundation in 2008, raising millions for ALS research and family support. Ray Lewis, while holding the AFC Champion Trophy in 2013, looked at OJ and told him, "You're my greatest motivation." Ed Reed shouted from the Hall of Fame stage in 2019 his name, and John Harbaugh called him the strongest man in the organization. Baltimore Ravens owner Steve Bisciotti, and I hate saying his name because it looks like Bisciotti, called him a beloved legend and said that it's a tremendously sad day for Baltimore. Coach, what's your experience with the disease known as ALS?
Other than the ice bucket challenge and seeing the awareness of it, I have yet to be affected by it. I have a friend of mine who right now he's got Parkinson's, and I know that that's not the same thing as ALS, but I do know of the neurological disorders and those that have those onset ones where it's going to end up taking over their lives. And ALS, just from what I've read and what I've researched, essentially paralyzes the person and makes them, incapable of moving. So it's almost a terrible, absolutely horrific disease. And for somebody to fight with that for 19 years also shows the advancement of what the medicine was. Lou Gehrig, once he was diagnosed with ALS, it became Lou Gehrig's disease, and he died very shortly after, his diagnosis. I think it might have been about a year or two. 19 years of fighting ALS is a remarkable fight with one of the hardest working men. And it's a wonder why so many Hall of Famers and soon-to-be Hall of Famers admire and respect that gentleman.
Absolutely. Now, we've also recently heard not too long ago about CJ2K, aka Chris Johnson, former Tennessee Titans, known as one of the fastest running backs in the NFL. It was revealed on June 29th on Good Morning America with former Giants Michael Strahan that Chris Johnson was diagnosed with ALS in 2025. And the way that he shared it, the disease had already progressed with Chris Johnson in that he needed a special device to be able to communicate. He was unable to talk on his own, and he is already a prison in his own body. His disease had progressed rapidly. He's lost the ability to speak and uses an eye-tracking speech-generating device. And in his own words, he said, "I want people to know that I am still me. ALS has changed what my body can do, but it hasn't changed who I am." When he got his diagnosis, his doctors told him and his wife to get your affairs in order. And his response back to that, "You can give up or you can fight. I choose to fight." Chris Johnson in the sports realm was known for rushing for 2,006 rushing yards in 2009, the sixth player to ever break the 2K mark, and his 2,500 yards from scrimmage that season broke Marshall Faulk's record, and it still stands. What's interesting to note about Chris Johnson is that he has no family history of ALS. Boston University's CTE Center found that pro football players are roughly 4 times more likely to develop and die from the disease. Also interesting to note is that his former Titans teammate Tim Shaw was also diagnosed with ALS in 2014 at the age of 30. 2 teammates, same locker room, same disease. Now, we know those people. We know those players. But the name that we don't know is an Army veteran by the name of Chuck Harkins. Chuck Harkins is one of my former classmates' father. And I only got to know him towards the late stages of his life when he joined our flag football league. Now, When Chuck joined our flag football league, he had just gotten diagnosed with the disease. But even still, the flag football thing was one of the things that he looked forward to. It got to where he wasn't able to do and make the picks himself, but he had family members that assisted him in being able to manage his team up until his unlikely passing a couple of years ago. And when the disease hit him, it hit him quick and fast. I'd be curious to know if there are any studies out there that look at the likelihood of service members that also get this diagnosis and this disease. So I wanted to talk about this section as it was sports related, to also link together a military veteran, as most of our audience are military related or military adjacent, and let y'all know that if you or one of your loved ones are afflicted by this disease, you are not alone. While nobody will likely understand what it is that you're going to, take a look at OJ. Take a look at CJ. Take a look at people like Chuck. And know that they fought until their body couldn't fight anymore. So I like to raise a cup or a glass to OJ, to CJ, and to Chuck, and give y'all a salute. Now, let's transition from ALS to what might be something that I don't think you could have scripted this even better. Like, this is, if you make a Netflix documentary out of this, it might be able to survive and generate enough interest to be able to have people watch it. How much do you keep up with MLB during the regular season, Coach?
I've been keeping tabs on it. I haven't been intensely following it like I have in years past, mainly because the Aaron Judge, and the Yankees have just been stagnant. And even though I've dropped in on time to time, there really hasn't been things to excite me, but something did last week, actually. And we're about to go ahead and talk about that right now.
Man. All right. So I've got the footage, and hopefully we don't get zucked for playing this. But at Wrigley Field, the legendary Wrigley Field, imagine you are in the minor leagues and you get called up to the big leagues. And on a Saturday, at one of the most legendary fields to be able to play with, your first time at bat, you become enshrined in history as the first player in MLB history to homer in each of his first 3 big league at-bats, going 3 or 4 for the night, 3 homers, 5 RBIs, in an 8-4 win over the Cubs. We've got the footage. We're going to play it. Take a look and just marvel in greatness.
High fly ball, center field. PCA turning, looking, and it's gone. Joshua Baez, his first major league at bat, and he hits a 2-run homer. And the Cardinals with a 3-0 lead.
Very first pitch he sees as a big leaguer. He goes deep at Wrigley Field against the Cubs. What a moment for that kid.
Boyd delivers.
Number 2. Wow.
Left field, half turning and looking, and it's gone. And Baez has done it again. Homering in his first 2 major league plate appearances.
Not that easy, kid.
Boyd delivers. Fly
Go.
ball right field. Suzuki's back. And it's gone.
Oh,
3 homers in his first 3 major league at-bats. Unbelievable.
Now, the cool part about that, he had a gang of family there. 30 family members in the stands at Wrigley Field, and all 3 of those pitches came off of the Cubs starter, Matthew Boyd. The first pitch he saw, gone. 449 feet to left center. the third longest debut homer since tracking began in 2006, and only two people, Jason Haywood's 476 and Aaron Judge's 457, went further. He nearly did the impossible in the 8th inning, only to end up lining out on the left field while trying to chase homer number 4. 23 years old, he was leading all of AAA with 34 home runs when he got the call, and he was the Cardinals' number 3 ranked prospect. Boston-born, Dominican family, raised in Dorchester, about 5 miles away from Fenway. He was the 2011 second-round pick who struck out over a third time in the low A's in 2023 before rebuilding his swing decision-making. That takes somebody who sees you, sees the talent that you could have, and decides to work with you to get your swing and get your timing and getting things turned around. Now, I don't keep up with MLB. Some of y'all might. Coach, is this the greatest debut in the history of American pro sports?
After one game, that is. I have seen some phenomenal debut games in my lifetime. LeBron's first game against Sacramento comes to mind. Cam Newton's first game for the Carolina Panthers, where I believe he almost had 200 yards rushing and 200 yards passing, something ridiculous like that. But this, for Major League Baseball, is definitely by far the greatest debut I have seen of anybody. Nobody's ever come up to pitch a shutout or to pitch a no-hitter in their Major League debut. Multiple Hall of Famers such as Reggie Jackson and Ken Griffey Jr., their first at-bats in their Major League, they hit a home run. You know, to have nobody else has ever done that 3 times in a row. It was unbelievably rare that nobody has ever thrown back to. There's only been one person to throw back-to-back no hitters, and that was I think it was Feller in 1948, but don't quote me on that one. Or it might be somebody else. It was somebody from the Cincinnati Reds. But you get these oddities of a games, and that is by far the greatest debut game that anybody has ever had, of 3 home runs in your first 3 at-bats. Statistically, it has, you can fill up 50,000 people, and maybe 200 or 150 out of the 55 or 60,000 that have played Major League Baseball have hit a home run in their first at-bat. And then you can slice that number by 95% of who have hit a home run in their second at-bat, let alone slice it down to 99.9% of who have hit it in their second at-bat in the game. So let's just get down to it. It was by far the best statistically. Definitely never happen again, because and it's not going to be. It may be equaled. I don't believe it'll be greater than, because somebody will have to hit 4 home runs in their debut, and it's right now that's a debut on the Major League record. Don't think that'll happen anytime soon.
I also don't think that there's going to be a pitcher that's going to allow that. Some manager is going to go out there once somebody else goes 3 for 3, and if it's early in the innings, they're going to go and throw him out, and it's going to cause controversy. I know it's coming. We're going to see it in our lifetime.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't think we can, man. Baseball is such an oddity with how they're played. Every year there's at least 10 or 15 different plays or stat categories that have never happened, and it will just ever happen in baseball. Last night, the Seattle Mariners lost 22-0 against the Milwaukee Brewers, and during that game, the center fielder forgot how many outs there were, and on the second out of the 8th inning, threw the ball into the stands, and 2 runs that were on the bases loaded. What's it called? That had the bases loaded. That were on base. 2 runs came in to score, and that was runs 20 and 21. And then run 22 came in almost after that. I have never seen that ever happen in my life, where the ball got thrown in with 2 outs and 2 runs end up scoring. Certain things have happened where the ball goes into the stands and people have ended up playing it afterwards. But like I said, Baseball is one of those things where if something happens, it'll happen one time. Nobody's hit 2 grand slams in the same inning since Fernando Tatis either. So let's just be, and that's happened over 25 or 30 years ago. And that was the only time in Major League Baseball history that had ever happened. The sport had been played for 100 years. So I'd say, like I said, that's the rarest and definitely the best debut of all time.
In all of sports, what has been what you would rank as the best sports debut of all times? I've got mine. I'm curious what sport and what feat you would list. And this is a question for the people in the comment section as well. Who would you list as one of the best sports debuts that people have witnessed? While you're thinking of yours.
Okay. No, I do have one.
Okay.
I mean, look, I think individually, I think Baez definitely has this one because there's nobody who's going to hit 3 home runs in a game, and many people don't even hit 3 home runs, in a game in their career. My second would have been Shane Van Gisbergen with NASCAR when they debuted at the Chicago track. It was his first ever race in NASCAR, and he debuted and he won the Chicago Street Race in 2023 or 24, whichever year it was.
I would say that Baez's feat, because of how rare it's going to be, would be number one. And in a close second, I'm going to go to the NBA and say Wilt Chamberlain's 43 and 28 in his first regular season game for Philly, the Philadelphia Warriors, because not the Philadelphia 76ers.
Okay.
But I would say that Wilt coming in, because when you even look at somebody like the Alien, he didn't come out and immediately put up 43 or 30 and 20 or 20 and 20. So, and I'm not sure. I think that can be replicated, though, that you are going to get that freak of an athlete that can do that in their first game.
Look, I'll say this about like the duality of sports, because almost every sport that I can think of right now has one of those people that put up the astronomical numbers in an era where if they had played today, they'd still be respectable and probably still be a Hall of Famer. Wilt Chamberlain being one of them that played in an era that had phenomenal numbers. Babe Ruth is another one. Wayne Gretzky. When you look at all the numbers of all of those are the 3 main people I talk about of reverence of numbers from the era that they played. Gretzky's probably has the most recency bias out of everybody's. Baruth is so far long ago that it was a whole different ball game as he was playing it and saw the dead ball era go to the live ball era. And, Chamberlain was also the only 7'2" athletic person at that time that was playing against people who were 6'5". And, during the day, they also worked as an electrician. And the 6'10" center, there was very rarely few that had that ability with him in the league. There wasn't that many. So that's where, baseball kind of skews the numbers on that one. And I do give anything as far as Wilt has his name in his record book for as long as that. And if his is one of those names, like if you said Gretzky, Ruth, or Chamberlain and said they got the record, and I would probably just nod my head and say, yeah, you got a good point there.
Okay. Now let's go here to the next.
I don't even have to look it up if he had 46 and 23 because I believe it. And that was probably his average on his rookie year.
Yeah. Yep. Now
I think his second year with the Warriors is when he had 50.4 per game, and he played an astounding 48.5 minutes per game in the NBA season. When you only play 48 in regulation.
Now we're gonna move here to the next segment here, and this is for some of the gamers out there, as it is also sports related. NBA 2K27. Have you ever played any of the NBA 2K games, Coach?
I did 20 years ago. I got into them, back when the 360, that was my last console that I can say that I was truly into. But it's been a while since I've played any of the sports games.
Now, NBA
I am familiar
2K27.
with how they work.
Yes, and in my opinion, on the next gen systems like your Xbox Series X's and your PlayStation 5s, it is one of the most realistic simulators outside of baseball for sports that are out there. Racing does a really good job too, like the NASCAR games. Soccer has also gotten to be really realistic, in my opinion, as well. But 2K doesn't.
It's not there yet.
Yep. But 2K, however, from the physics to the movement to how the ratings are, has been chef's kiss. And it's also one of the only sporting simulation games out there outside of NASCAR or NASCAR racing games where you have a good bit of the active players also playing and talking about their ratings and things like that. Madden has tried to get into the realm of getting their players to promote the game and things, but in my opinion, nobody does it as good as the NBA does. So NBA 2K27 drops worldwide September the 4th. If you ordered the deluxe or ultra edition, you get early access as early as August 28th. Now, on the covers, there's different covers, but you've got Victor Wembanyama, who's going to be the face of the league for a while. NBA legend Derrick Rose, and on the WNBA edition, because they're just trying to push this, Caitlin Clark. Now, ratings will change. Yeah. Ratings will change all season based on real performance. But on opening night at the release, here is the top 10, and I included the GOAT LeBron James as well, because I felt like he got disrespected. So this on the screen here is showing, as of launch day, the game's top 10 players. You got SGA at the highest with 97. You got actually three 97s. SGA, Victor Wembanyama, and Nikola Jokic, all at 97s. Luka, your Knicks, Jalen Brunson, and Giannis at 96. And rounding out the rest of the top 10 is Anthony Edwards, Cade Cunningham, Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant, ending it with a 93. What stands out to me is there are no 99s, there are no 98s. But to have LeBron be rated under Kevin Durant, to me, is a tragedy. LeBron is still over a 90 at the age of 42, because him and I are the same age. Actually, might be a year or two older than LeBron. So the fact that he's still rated over a 90 says something about his greatness, in my opinion. But Coach, when you see these NBA 2K ratings, do you agree with them? And if not, what would you change?
There are 3, possibly 4 that I would change. And one of them is going to be right off the bat, Victor Wembanyama. Look, I am saying this right now, even based off of his finals performance, that what I have seen him do is improve in the off season. What I've seen him do is attack his weaknesses and come back. And I said that at the beginning of the year, that if Victor Wembanyama was able to put it together, the Spurs were going to go to the finals and beat Oklahoma City. And then, like I said, I thought they were going to end up beating the Knicks. But I think Victor Wembanyama is going to learn the finals of what he needs to do, and he's going to be adjusting his defense instead of getting attacked the way that he got attacked by the Knicks. He is the only person I can definitely tell you will be at a 98 or above within the first week of the season. Wembanyama is going to have something this year, so I would put him up a little bit. I am going to go something a little controversial, but you have to hear me out about this because I do not like the age factor and I do not like coming off the injury, but I think Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to be a little bit too high. The situation right there is new in Miami, but I do think he's going to be a tad bit high coming off of an injury and getting a little bit older. I am agreeing with you about how high up right now Kevin Durant is, as well as Steph Curry, because both of them I am seeing right here are another year older, and I don't believe they have enough horses left in them to be that elite player on a consistent basis. There is going to be nights of brilliance from Durant and Curry this season. But God almighty, if they had them both together, that would have been great. But instead, they're separate, and they're going to be carrying their teams as the offensive spark. And I hate to say it, it's not going to be consistent this year for them. So I would go down with them. LeBron, look, with the team that he has and anticipating the hype that is going to be around Philadelphia, 90 with how his ball distribution and the lack of the primary offensive role he will have as on that team will be, I'm okay with that. But then just like everything else that's going to happen to this freaking Sixers team, it's going to be a spectacular failure during the year, and we're just going to have to sit there and laugh more than we do at Rangel Reese and her layups.
Oh, I've got to clip that. Hey, Clippers, clip that. Because I disagree. I think Philly's going to be top 4 coming out of their conference.
I think the Philly. Well, I think the Sixers. They're going to be the new version of the Nets. They're going to try a super team, and it's going to fail spectacularly, just like every time the Nets have tried to do it over the past decade.
Huh. I think that the linchpin is going to be what version of Joel Embiid are they going to get? Are they going to get first 2-3 year in the league Embiid where he was doing everything because he had to, or because they have a better supporting cast with Maxey, Brown, and LeBron are all rated above 90s on one team on 2K. I'm not saying that that's going to translate into them being a good team in real life, but the fact that Embiid doesn't have to do it all now, I think makes a case for Philly being able to go further with the talent that they have, where Maxey can do enough that LeBron doesn't have to be the main distributor. He can be the coach on the floor that raises everybody else up around him, and we see an MVP. I think we can see. I think we're going to get, and I don't know who it's going to be. We're going to get 2, maybe even 3 people from one team that can all be considered at the end of the season for MVP honors.
How many games are you anticipating? How many games are you anticipating Joel Embiid playing this year?
I think he can clip 80%. Yes. I'm going to say 8 out of 10. 80%.
I'm going under.
Under. So let me see.
Well, Embiid ain't going to be
Coach and King
more than 50% of this season.
Embiid. So I'm gonna write this down. Coach said Embiid won't play over 80% of the regular season games.
No, not 80. Not 80.
Okay.
60.
60. Okay. I'm locking it in. King is saying over 80%.
Look, I Philadelphia has the biggest boom to bust factor out of anybody in the NBA right now. Okay? Out of anybody in the NBA right now, the biggest boom to bust factor is the Philadelphia 76ers. But I'm also saying this right now as in a position that I have never, as a fan or as any type of commentator about professional basketball. Because my team won the championship. And to be honest with you, if they go 0-100, if they go 0-82 this season, I'm okay with it. You know what? Tank for the number 1 pick, because that's what the Spurs ended up doing. And then they shut down Wemby and ended up getting daggone Harper. Or they ended up getting somehow stealing Stephon Castle. Just saying.
Hey,
we're smart, you know. Show up on night, and Jalen Brunson and Cat and Hart and OG, you know, they all get injured on opening night. They're all out for the season. Play with Tyler Kolek, okay? We play that long. We go 0-82. We tank. We won't give a shit at all. We'll be there.
So not back to back, but 2 out of 3. You'll be happy with that?
Look, I'd be happy with it, but there is that part of the back of my mind that goes, man, everybody has made these daggone moves over here just in response to a guy who somebody said he was too short to win a championship, and a former number 1 pick that people forgot was a number 1 pick. That's all I'm going to say.
Hey, no doubt.
Yeah,
great point.
You know what's sad? I saw this meme. It was like it's a pop culture one. It's like, you know, Bane's walking into the battle, and he's like got his hands up like this. And then, like, you know, it says like Victor Wembanyama, Stephen Castle, number 2 pick, you know, Ron Harper Jr. or Derek or whatever, you know, whatever the fucking Harper's name is, you know, and Chantilly and, you know, Champagny and all of these people. And then it just shows up with the Knicks with the Jalen Brunson shoot, and it's that dude like Molecule Man, or the dude with all the dots from like one of the freaking, you know, one of the Peacemaker shows, and it says the power of friendship. And that's what the hell that team's got right there. The power of friendship in the New York Knicks has shaken the NBA, that every team has to restructure its roster.
Yeah, and Coach, you bring up a good point. I think that there's something to be said about when you can get a nucleus of people that either grew up playing together at some level, whether it was the AA teams or college like Brunson and Hart did, and then you get to the league and you can get those guys when they've developed to also come back and play together. It's one of the reasons why I would be so curious if the Ball brothers were able to all get on the court at the same time. They don't even have to be on the same, like getting the same minutes. But if Lonzo could play with LaMelo and LiAngelo all at the same time, I think that would make for some really interesting and some really fun football. I'm not saying winning football, but I think that it could be interesting.
There has to be something said about that. But, you know, we go back into this old adage, and I actually thought about this a little bit earlier as we were bringing this up, or as we were preparing for the show. It also had to do with the coaching. And, you know, Coach Jay Wright from Villanova was a great, you know, fundamental and playmaker, you know, type of coach that instilled the leadership upon these same men, you know, between Bridges, Hart, Dante DiVincenzo, and, you know, Jalen Brunson. So with that whole core nucleus of the great coaches together and them being together, it could have worked, you know, and it's great that did work, but you're not going to be able to do that now in the NCAA with all the NIL deals. The one and dones are always going to be predominant. You're always going to now have a larger core of international players, and it wouldn't surprise me if somebody comes out international that goes number one again. And they doesn't play for any of these colleges that learn the fundamentals. But with the NILs coming in, it is going to have to go all the way back to the AAU teams that play together and not play against each other. That will be a testing time to go ahead and see that. So it's weird, and I just when it comes down to college sports, maybe we'll have a freaking resolution this year. I don't know.
All right, now we're going to transition from the NBA and go back to what I think is one of the most hilarious blunders that you will ever see, and may this never happen to me, as I'm getting out and getting behind a camera and things like that. But Bryce Young had one job. And during the Hall of Fame game earlier this month, in which the Cardinals and the Panthers played in what was a shootout, with the final score being 33-30 in Canton, Bryce Young had an interview with sideline veteran reporter Dave Stevens. Now, when I show the clip, you're going to notice something about said sideline reporter. And Bryce Young is going to say something that had me in tears. I'm not going to spoil it. Let's just play the clip.
The team we are, training camp's about finding that. So definitely just where my feet are right now.
I don't.
He gets down to talk to Mr. Stevens, and shout out to Dave for being a good sport about it, because I'm going to go back and play the whole thing this time and check out what Dave followed up with that.
The team we are, training camp's about finding that. So definitely just where my feet are right now.
I don't know. Speaking of feet,
The team.
Bryce, come on, man. Hey, read the room. To be able to not catch yourself. And I bet that was one of those moments where he heard it, and in his head, he was probably like, shit. That's where his feet are right now. Oh, my goodness. Now, Stevens is a legend in his own right, born without legs, 40-plus years in television, and the only legless athlete to ever play in NCAA football and minor league baseball. As you saw, Young was crouched down next to Stevens and got asked about possibly making the Hall of Fame one day, which I don't think we're going to see that in Bryce Young's history. Now, he is coming off of a career year. He had career highs across the board in 2025. The Panthers did pick up his fifth-year option this past April, but this is going to be his prove-it season. I think that Carolina in the NFC South aren't necessarily a team that's going to be competitive, but that Bryce Young, as long as he can stay healthy, can prove that he is one of the top 32 quarterbacks in the NFL that deserves to be started. But to say pick up on his feet, maybe he doesn't have a shot in media anytime soon, and leading an NFL team might be where he needs to be. Coach, did you see that clip? And if so, what did you think about it?
Look, I feel bad for Bryce because, I hear it over here in Carolina, and I see his games, and I see how lost he looks sometimes. Man, he looked like he improved at the end of the year, and now he's starting off this year back on flop and over on some bullshit. Let's be quite honest, Bryce, you don't need it. Dude, you had positive momentum going. You got to focus on what you've got ahead of you with this team, this Panthers team. Man, you guys are in the middle of a crossroads. We don't know whether or not you're going to renovate the stadium you got right there, whether you're not going to have the same exact team. Remember, we still hate the owner. We're trying to support the team, but nobody knows what the hell's happening, and everything's on Bryce Young to get better and be a NFL quarterback. Bryce, Get your head on straight. Focus. This is what training camp's for. Get the stupidity out. Do better. Come on, make the advancement, please, for the love of God, just so that my entire football season has somewhat of a glimmer of a hope that I can say something positive during the year, because I'm not going to say shit positive about the fucking Jets this year. So please, Bryce. Come on.
So let's go to wrap here. You just said something that I need to let you know, Coach. Me and CQ of Pop Culture Warrior and somebody else who we know mutually have gone through and did one season in the new Madden, in Madden 27. In that league, the New York Jets won one game the entire season. Now we started up, or we redid another league. So we said, hey, now that we've understood it and we've got our feet under us with understanding the buttons and stuff, let's start over. We all picked somewhat of the same teams, and we're about halfway through the season now, and the Jets still ain't won a goddamn game. So if Sports Simulation Madden is any indication, you might catch a New York Jets team that at most is going to win 2 damn games this year.
I'm going to say this as bluntly as possible. As much as I would enjoy the freaking 0-82 season from the New York Knicks, because at least I know that they would have a decent chance at the number 1 pick, but they've already won a championship. I know that when you said that they were 1-16, the New York Jets, I knew for some reason they would end up getting the number 2 pick in the draft, because somebody else in that league had to have been 1-17, and then they had to have a point differential that was worse than the Jets for some reason. But look, I get it. The Jets suck. I'm fine with it. I know that they're sucking. My thing is this. I have to look at every single one of the quarterbacks that are going to be coming out at the end of this year. And honest to God, some of these quarterbacks are now going to have the ultimate chip on them. Most of them are juniors. You're not going to have any fifth-year seniors. You'll have very few of them. But I will mention that most of these people that are going to be juniors will end up making more. If they will end up making more in one season, and may or may not hurt their draft pick, just if they don't want to go to the Jets. They have that option to do that. Mm-hmm. So unless they go 1-16 and definitely say we are getting the number 1 pick in the draft, and for some reason Arch Manning says, no, I want to stay in Texas again, or I want to do something my uncle has never done before and win a national championship at either Ole Miss or at fucking Tennessee, or, I don't know, he joins the dark side and goes to UNC with Belichick just to fuck with the whole family. Whatever he does to get away from the Jets, that would be an ultimate get over the move. I don't care. It's the Jets. They'll fuck it up somehow.
All right, now I'm going to put a reminder again.
I got a new Jets jersey this year, so I got an authentic Wayne Corbett jersey to remind me of when the Jets' best receiver was a 5'8" white guy from North Jersey.
Yeah. In the chat again is our link to join the Survivor League. The link is also in the description. I'm not going to be able to display it because it doesn't show properly. So click on the link. We're going to post it on WTF Nation Radio. You can find it on the Sports Bar at WTF Nation Radio's Facebook page as well. If you for some reason say, King, I heard you had a Survivors League, but I listened to this on audio, so I didn't see the link or I can't click on it in the description, send me a message at the Sports Bar's Facebook Messenger, or you can look me up on the actual King Smith on Facebook as well, or send me an email, king@WTFNationRadio.com, and I will get you the link. Again, free to join. And you could win something at the end. We're not going to announce what it is just yet. You just got to join and find out what it is. Maybe we'll announce it once week 1 starts. All right. So to wrap this up here, this is the last call for the sports bar. We got people like CJ2K fighting ALS, a disease that right now we have no cure for. The people out there are behind you, CJ2K, and we are in remembrance of OJ Brigance and Army veteran Chuck Harkins, who also fought the same fight that you are currently fighting. Joshua Baez, welcome to history. For the people at NBA 2K, pick one guy that is rated better than all of the other guys. To have 3 people all have the same ratings, you're cowards. I think that was done deliberately so that nobody could get blamed for picking who should have been at the top, which we all know I don't think anybody should have rated under Wemby. That's my take on it. I think Wemby should have been a 98 because of what he can do on defense as well. SGA is a great two-way player, but he's not 7 foot, 10,000 feet. NBA 2K should have let Wemby stand alone at the top, and they're cowards for not doing that. Pick one. The Survivor League link is in the chat and the description. It's free. It takes 30 seconds to register. Join, and it can be a whole season of bragging rights unless you pick wrong first, and then you're out, and then you're like, screw it. I don't care. Coach, you have the last words.
Happy birthday, Snuffleupagus.
All right.
Snuffleupagus turns 55 today.
Happy birthday, Snuffleupagus. Coach would rather say happy birthday to Snuffleupagus than anything about Angel Reese and the WNBA. Coach,
I'd rather wipe my ass with a freaking than Angel Reese and the WNBA. Hey, look, all I'm going to say this is that Enos the Penis is going to get drafted in the WNBA. And it's going to be awesome.
We didn't talk about that.
And that's it for this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good night.
Let's see it.